Hi everyone, my name is Tony Tegtmeyer and welcome to Principles of Engineering. It wasn't too long ago that I remember being in your chair, being a parent of a high schooler, going to a curriculum night, and I was really there to find out, who is this person that's spending time with my son and my daughter, teaching them about whatever the class is about. But I was always interested in the teacher, and the class as well, but probably just more interested in the teacher to find out what their philosophy is, how do they conduct the class, do I agree with it, and what questions do I have? So we'll talk a little bit about that, and of course we'll talk about the class as well. So let's get started. So I mentioned my name already. There's my contact information on the screen. You can go to my home page, which has the syllabus and all that. But a little bit about me. I grew up in a small town in Iowa. In fact, my town was probably not much bigger than the number of students we have here at Neuqua. I went to Iowa State University where I got my bachelor's in aerospace engineering and moved to California. Got a job there working in the space program. I worked on the propulsion system for the space station, rocket engines. So yes, I'm a recovering rocket scientist. I was there for a few years. I lived 2 blocks from the beach. I had the world by the tail until a presidential change brought an end to my job there, and so we moved back here. I met my wife in school. We moved back here to the Plainfield, Naperville area where she is from. And so I spent some time in automotive, in manufacturing and technology for about 20 years before I became a teacher. And in those roles, I was usually in a hybrid role where I spent time, I had 1 foot in engineering and 1 foot in sales and marketing. And that was fantastic because to customers, I was the engineer. To my engineering friends, I was the voice of the customer. For me, that was a lot of fun. And I got to travel all over the world, Asia, Europe, and got to learn how really important it is to understand different cultures and how that affects engineering and what you do as an engineer. I became a teacher about 8 years ago, not a little over 8 years ago, actually, because my wife is a teacher. I had one of those days at work where I came home, wasn't real happy, and my wife said, well, you should quit that and become a teacher. I let her talk me into trying it. I tried subbing a little bit and took a couple of classes. I liked subbing, where the kids kind of try to tell you, that they have everything done when they don't really and all that. You know what I'm talking about. But I really liked that, so I decided to take the plunge. I got my master's degree from National Louis and did my student teaching here at Neuqua with Mr. Kennedy in AP Physics. And while I was doing that, I saw a job posting for engineering teacher here at Neuqua Valley. I had no idea any such thing existed. So I talked to our department chair and I said, well, what kind of person are you looking for? And she said, well, someone with an engineering background that knows physics. And for me, that was a perfect fit. I'm not sure if they thought so much, but I had to convince them a little bit. But anyway, here I am after 8 years. Absolutely love what I'm doing. Someone, I think it was Confucius, who said, if you find a job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I haven't worked for 8 years. I mean, I have, but you know what I'm saying. I have been extremely honored and fortunate to be named the Project Lead the Way Engineering Teacher of the Year, National Engineering Teacher of the Year, and runner-up. I have also authored a children's STEM book, so I think you can tell I love the topic. So as far as Principles of Engineering goes, if I had to call it anything, I would say it was probably a combination of mechanical and electrical engineering, probably more mechanical. So we look at things like simple machines and gears and pulleys. We look at strength of materials. I teach the kids how to analyze a truss, which, by the way, isn't just a bridge. It's inside aircraft. How to analyze the structure of a car, all those kinds of things. So we build things and we break things, which, by the way, is really kind of fun. We don't start anything on fire, so there's nothing to worry about, at least on purpose. So there's nothing to worry about there. We learn a little robotics and some coding along the way, and at the end of the year, we put that all together. We have a huge project where the kids have their own engineering firm, and it's a game. They start with play money, and they can buy and sell their services, and they have a fantastic time doing it. It's very, very hands-on class. The math isn't that challenging, but there is math. Sometimes people get intimidated by engineering. They really shouldn't. It's very hands-on, so we learn a concept, we'll have a big design project. One of the things I don't do in this class is I don't lecture. So I create videos for the kids to watch because then they can take notes and go review things and re-watch things as they need to. I find that works a lot better than me standing at front of the class writing a bunch of things, and some kids are bored and some kids can't keep up. They learn at their own pace, usually at night, so there might be a 10 or 15-minute video. So if you see them on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. If you see them on YouTube and they tell you that they're doing engineering, they might be. Might not be, but they might be. So then the next day, we'll talk about those concepts, probably do some hands-on experimentation or work with it. So that's when the teaching really happens. So you might see that. We do that a lot. As far as grading goes, those projects for me are big. I've really kind of switched away from giving the standard, the tests that you and I took when we were in school. They're okay, but I don't think they do the best job of telling me as a teacher where a student might be struggling. Some students just flat out have test anxiety and don't do well, even though they know the material well. So that's why I have 50% of the grade is mostly projects. That's where and when students really show if they know the material and how to apply it, because that's what engineering is, applying math and science to solve problems. Classwork, solving problems, for example, doing some of the videos, those are worth points. That's 35%, and then the remainder, which I think is 15%, is the final. I do accept late work up to 4 weeks, although not always for full credit, but they will always get at least half credit, which is better than a 0. So if someone falls behind, make sure to encourage them to turn that in. If they're sick a day or miss a day, for each day that you're sick or gone, you get that day to make it up. If you were here in person, one of the things I would ask you to do is I'd actually give you an assignment, a little 3x5 card, where I would have you write your son or daughter's name, and then one thing that I need to know so that I can be a better teacher for them as an individual. So if you are so inclined, feel free to email me what that something might be. You don't have to, of course, but I do pay attention to those, and it does help me be a better teacher for individuals. I don't just teach, numbers sitting in front of me. Each person has their own experience, and I really try to pay attention to that. With that, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You know my email from my contact sheet, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks. Have a great night.